So hello and welcome back to Go Again Gaming in the league that means nothing here on the channel. About to wrap up this week with two semi-finals and the final this week. But today I'm going to be commentating on Florin Kassai against Carlota's Azalea. Now, this was a game which actually took place in the very first week of the round of Swiss, with Florin losing against Carlota, and now they're going to meet again here in the semi-finals. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Azalea starts on and wants to leverage a lot of life in this game to really pile the pressure on Kassai, and that's what we saw in the last game. Kassai's got such a big fridge, so that's one thing that Azalea has to batter down as well before we really start threatening the Kassai. But it should be a good one, so let's head down to the table and see how this one plays out. So here we go, both players just splitting their decks the Spanish way here. So this is the first time I saw this happen was from the Fabritorium team splitting their decks on camera. The history of that was because a lot of armories and a lot of stores across Spain did want to play, or players across Spain did want to play and get together and play, and one of the ways to do that, I think this was during COVID perhaps, or just during the first early days of the Spanish community, wanted to play as much Fab as possible, and the only way to do that, because the community was so small and so scattered, was to play online, and this was just a sportsman-like way to cut your deck, or have your opponent have some agency as to how the deck is cut by saying, okay, I want pile 1 on top of 3, and then 3 on top of 2, etc. So just giving your opponent some agency with the deck cutting, and now they are rolling the dice to decide who goes first, with Florin rolling an 8 and Carlota rolling dice off screen. They're very helpful. But Carlota rolling a 7, so Florin deciding who goes first. Yeah, I wonder what's going to be decided here. In hindsight, I do edit all of these games, so all of the games I do edit, and then I get to sometimes commentate afterwards. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see who decides to go first here. Azalea, of course, if she gets the ability to go first, she can dominate straight off the bat with things like Not the Death Whistle to really go and find those pivotal arrows to really get the game going. But in sort of contrast to that, Kassai and Warrior in general does have the ability to block out dominated arrows off the bat, even if they are sort of 8 power. Or, it depends on whether they want to keep an arsenal or not. But normally, if you're knocking the Death Whistle, reloading a card, buffing, and then playing, that's your full hand, and really only a maximum of 8 damage coming in on turn 1 with a Dominate. Unless you've got a 0 cost arrow, of course, you can get a bit of a bigger buff on that. But yeah, it looks like the game is starting here with, I believe, Carlota going first, if I can remember correctly. But yeah. So to date the episode here, this was edited about a week or so ago, and a couple of weeks later I'm now commentating over it because I was trying to get some casters for this, but time has run out, so therefore I'm going to be just going to be doing it myself now. Yeah, it looks like Azalea is on the play, starting with an aforementioned Knock the Death Whistle. So probably one of the best ways to start, just going to filter and find a card that you think will do some damage early on. And I think when you're playing against Warrior, I think you do want to try and get drill shots dominated, or something along the lines of something that whittles down the armor, but I could be completely and utterly wrong. It depends on what Florin's got defensively, but there is a big fridge on board there which he can utilize turn 1 to stop the value of the dominate coming through. But yeah, that's what I mean. I think trying to grab an arrow with an on hit that you want to satisfy probably doesn't work because they're blocking it anyway with armor. But it is also a good way of baiting out that armor and also filling up your graveyard as well for codex turns as well. So you could look at it that way as well, I guess, if you're looking to just put a red in the ledger into play here, which is probably going to be blocked unless Florin has a play where one action doesn't really matter. Which we have seen in play over the course of the league games here, but that is also an option as well, as just get a red in the ledger in your graveyard for codexes as well. Codex, another card which just fetches an arrow card with Azalea for the Azalea decks out of your graveyard. So it's a good way of saying, right, okay, all my codexes can now go and get a red in the ledger because I've already fired it early on. Yeah, this Red and Ledger will be dominated if she chooses to activate Azalea, which I'm pretty sure is going to happen, activating that fantastic Veto Zoma altar to activate Azalea, to put that Red and Ledger into the arsenal with Dominate. Lovely old job. We are going to see a buff, so it is going to come in for 8, with the amplifying arrow, the only card in hand, being used to pitch to play for it. So it is coming in for 8. So Florin can utilise armour and a card to block this out if he wants to, but it depends on the hand composition and whether he's got something he can just potentially throw back at Carlota after taking the damage. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Florin must have some form of follow-up to throw back at Carlota, which doesn't really matter about the one action point. He is going to have a frailty as well, but again, that doesn't really matter, I imagine. So I don't think he's going to be swinging sabers, because it's going to equate to 2 damage, which is not 1 damage, which isn't much, right? Florin drawing up as well anyway, because obviously it's the first turn. So just filtering a little bit while throwing that Raisin Army, throwing that yellow in the graveyard for potentially Kassai shenanigans later on. Getting yellows in the graveyard, yellows and reds to fuel Kassai is pretty good. This is a perfect example of what happened in week 1 as well. Red and the Ledgers were being fired. Florin was acting on 1 action point and acting the best way possible here with a response from his own dominated Nourishing Emptiness. So yeah, Carlota staring down 6 damage. Azalea probably is looking at this thinking, okay, this is just damage I just have to take. Because Azalea's life is very much a resource in this game. Once she gets the train going, getting the stuff into the arsenal, opting, firing, dominating, she can just completely snowball out of control. And that's exactly what she's doing here. She's taking the 6 damage to the face, allowing Florin to not only arsenal a card, but also draw up to 5 as well. So that's going to be pretty good for the engine of Florin. But there is also an engine of Azalea to contend with here, and obviously the fact that she has Death Dealer and the built-in opt from cross wrap is just an absolute snowball once it gets going, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Florin drawing up to 5 after the Nourishing Emptiness trigger, and it's back on to Azalea's turn, ticking up the Tunic. So Tunic will be online next turn after she's potentially arsenaled a card. But we'll see what happens here. Pitching a blue into Death Dealer. So she's going to have 2 floating. Loading in a Infecting Shot and drawing a card. Infecting Shot, pretty good on-rate arrow with damage that equates to 7 over the course of 2 turns. A 1 for 7. Unless they pay for it for the Blood Rot at the end of their turns on the turns afterwards. But yeah, very, very good arrow out of Outsiders. And a lot of good stuff out of Outsiders as well. But Infecting Shot being one of the best damage-dealing arrows. And spoiled by the Spike Feeders. Bill. Shout out to Bill. Living Legends co-host. What a man. But yeah. Loading in the arrow, just deciding what to do now. But this is just going to be raw damage. I don't think there's going to be any form of go again here. It's probably just going to be send some damage, arsenal a card, and then let's go off on the next turn with a Tunic. But okay, she doesn't know what's on top here. Interesting. So there's no way to load now unless they crack the bullseye bracers now, but we're going to read the glide path. So a blind Azalea into a read the glide path. Unless I'm pretty sure it was blind. Yeah, she didn't have an arsenal this turn, so she is blinded with that. She is going to opt from the read the glide path and choose to keep that on top. Release the tension, so no D-reacts can be played from arsenal. So if that's a D-reacts that Florin's sitting on in his arsenal now, that cannot be played against whatever coming next. The only way she can really get something into her arsenal now is... Okay, well, there we go. That makes sense. It's a Codex, and getting back that Red in the Ledger that she fired first turn. So that makes perfect sense. I was wondering, okay, is there a reason for blind Azalea here? You don't want to be cracking the bullseye bracers early, but there is a Codex, of course, and we are getting back the Red in the Ledger that was fired first turn. So again, that's a good way, a good reason to fire Red in the Ledgers on turn 1, even with armor on board, is because you're still putting that in your graveyard for Codex turns as well. So yeah, pretty good stuff. And now we're begging the question as to whether armour wants to be thrown under the bus. This isn't dominated though, but still coming in for 11 is a large amount to deal with. But Florin sitting on 5 cards in hand as a result of that Nourishing Emptiness, which is still on screen, will provide some blocking value. And of course, the Valiant Dynamos are a constant nuisance, because they can always be refreshed as long as you're swinging twice. It just depends on whether you have the room to be able to do that. So yeah, Florin thinking long and hard about this 11 coming in at him right now. And Carlota just playing around with the lovely altar from Vito Zoma, which was the artist that done Soup Up, actually, one of the cards that I spoiled for Bright Lights. They did the art for that as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I also have a Vito Zoma Azalea art as well, as Azalea altar. It's like a Valentine's Day one. It's 4 cards that sort of fit all together to form a lovely picture of Azalea saying "Dominate me," which is just fantastic, really. But yeah, a big chunky arrow coming in here. No D-Reacts can be played from Arsenal, so it begs the question, has Florin put a D-React in his Arsenal thinking, oh, I'll save it there for later? But we'll see. So 1 card is definitely being committed. According to this, 2 cards being committed. It means also as well, if it hits, he can only play 1 action on his next turn. So he won't be able to swing both sabres. Red in the Ledger just affects so many heroes. It's just a ridiculous card, and we always said it was the best on-hit in the entire game. Even years ago, when we started the Azalea cult, we always knew that Red in the Ledger was one of the reasons we wanted to play Azalea, because it was just so powerful. We just didn't have the support cards for it. As you can see there, what's buffing the Red in the Ledger here is Read the Glide Path, which was from Everfest, and Release the Tension, I believe, was from Crucible of War. I could be wrong. I think it was Crucible. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. But yeah, Brave Forge is being chucked under this, and 3 cards, so that is blocking 11 there. So 3 block 3s and a block 2 being used to block all of that there. Is that a German Brave Forge? Something de Brave Forge? I think that might be a German one. Could be wrong. But yeah, that is fully blocked, and it's over to Florin's turn now, who's just going to pitch a blue into a Spoils of War. So the next weapon attack gets +2 and go again. He's going to activate Kassai, banishing a Blade Runner, a Raise the Army, a Nourishing, and the Spoils of War that he just played as well. So pretty good. So the next weapon that hits gets a gold. And now he's coming in with that sabre for 3, I believe, because of the frailty. So it should be 2 at base, -1 from frailty, then +2 from spores. So it should be coming in for 3 with go again as a result of Spoils of War. On hit, create 1 gold, and Carlota is just taking that. He's going to get a gold from that as well. He should also be getting some coppers, which I believe he does rectify in just after his turn here anyway. That he does remember that he also gets coppers from the Spoils of War, which I think, do I flash up that he remembers he gets coppers? I cannot remember. But Azalea using the cross wrap to reveal, oh, here we go. These are the coppers that he should have got from Spoils. So he's just using a card there to represent the 4 coppers that he got. Yeah, because obviously whenever you hit with weapons this turn on Spoils, you get 2 copper. So that's what he's just done there. But Skullbone resolving here, flipping up the Withering Shot to look at the top card. This is an interesting card that Carlota's put in her list for this particular league. Withering Shot, I don't think appears in many lists. It could be going forward, because it does devalue the whole Assassin Dagger situation. So I think it could be a good card going forward, depending on how popular new is. But yeah, it's an interesting card nonetheless to see, because we don't see it too often. But yeah, still deciding what to do after we revealing the card on top. But she is going to activate Azalea. I think this is a blind one after she sunk it to the bottom. Oh, it is a searing shot. Okay. Pretty good. Seek and Destroy. And then here comes a searing shot for 7. So +3 from Seek and Destroy, and then the base of 4 makes it a 7 attack. If this hits, they lose a life though. So essentially 8 damage if you don't let the if you don't block it. But also the Seek and Destroy effect as well is that at the end of Florin's next turn, he has to destroy all the cards in his arsenal and discard his hand. So he can't arsenal anything, can't save any cards. Very, very powerful when coupled to things like Red in the Ledger. So you can't use any of your cards in hand, and they all get destroyed. So you can't keep anything back, can't really make the most of them. But that's what she's asking the question of now. But this Searing Shot coming in for 7, still got 3 cards in hand, Snappies and Bullseye still up. So this could be a turn where she utilises those. And Florin deciding to block everything out here. But that's going to be a Rain Razors. Okay. So that's going to push it up to 9. So now 2 will leak through. So 2 will leak through, but then he will also lose a life from the Searing Shot. And she is going to be snappy-easing this as well. So yeah, losing 3 life there. So 2 of the Rain Razors buff. And then 1 because of the Searing Shot. Yeah, so that's all correct. The Frailty is still on board here from last turn, so that's going in the graveyard. Or just going away in general. But yeah, she has snappied this as well, which means that obviously anything that she loads now is also going to have +2 from the Rain Razors as well. So if you can go wide with Rain Razors, it's definitely worth trying to get as many arrows in as possible, whether that's utilising Death Dealer like she is now. She hasn't even shot or used Death Dealer yet, which is good. And then also utilising things like Bullseye Braces as well to just make sure that all your arrows can get the benefit of that +2. It is worth, cracking everything on Rain Razor's turns if you've got the hand composition and resources to do it, because it just adds so much value to all of your arrows, some of which have on hits, etc, etc. So as we can see here, this is another full block for 6. Now again, we can reload with Bolt and Shot to then essentially fire another arrow, or we can just go balls in with the Bullseye Braces here as well, to get another arrow card in Arsenal to fire to make most of that Rain Razors that's currently being played. So pretty good stuff. Florin's going to have to destroy his hand in Arsenal anyway, so he's not really going to be able to have much follow-up. So he probably wants to use all of his cards at least here for defensive value, because he's going to probably be able to swing a Saber and then lose his card. But that is fully blocked. 2 cards in hand. Is there going to be a follow-up here? There isn't, by the looks of it. No. Nope, she's just going to Arsenal and pass. Okay, fair enough. So using the Bolt and Shot as a combat trick in a way to sort of consistently threaten that card advantage as well, not allowing Florin to Arsenal a card, is pretty good. It's pretty good indeed. So yeah, over to Florin's turn. He's only got the 1 card. He's got a Seek and Destroy effect as well to deal with here, but he's going to be activating Kassai to banish Blood on the Hand, Slice and Dice, that all you got, and a Sink Below. So they're going to be banished, and then he's going to... I think he realises at this point that Carlota is not going to be blocking Saber attacks, so at least you can get some value off of the fact that when this hits you get a gold. He's also... he's already got 2 gold over there and 4 copper, so yeah, Carlota is definitely just going to take that to the face. He's going to create another gold over there as well, and he's got 4 coppers as well. So gold is pretty good in Kassai, as we know, because it allows you to attack for free if you crack it. But Carlota starting off her turn here, just putting a counter on Tunic and flipping up the cross trap, revealing a Bolt and Shot, and having a look to see what is on top of the deck. And she is thinking, okay, we can leave that on top. That's pretty good. So interesting to see what happens here. Bolt and Shot on the Arsenal is always great to see, because it just means that you don't have to, as long as you've got a buff, you can just fire that Bolt and Shot out with a buff behind it. Then you can still activate Death Dealer or use Bullseye Braces, whatever sort of combination you want to do, to just go quite wide this turn and threaten damage. So seeing those Bolt and Shots in the Arsenal are always fun. They're always a good chain starter. And we're opting for something different here. We're opting for a Knock the Death Whistle. And this is also pretty good as well because there is already a card in the arsenal, which means she doesn't have to use the reload ability, which means there's more. If there's a lot of pumps in hand, she can just maybe pump 2 and then fire, because she's getting another red in the ledger. Rightly so as well. So if the hand composition is as expected here, you'd probably see 11 dominate, because you've got 2 buffs potentially that equate to 6, plus the red in the ledger for 5, pitching the other card from hand to come in for 11 dominate, which does ask a lot of equipment block. I think that's the... What crown is that up there? I'm not sure. Is it the Dominion? I'm not sure if it is or not. It doesn't have a block value. So yeah, so Florin's gone into this battle with Dominion, so he's only got the Grains, the Brave Forge, which has already taken 1 point, and then the Valiant Dynamo. So he's got 4 block on board, coming in against what I imagine to be an 11. Would mean that he probably would be leaking damage no matter what here, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Azalea activation to give the red and the ledger dominate, and then a premeditate, a Lace of Blood Rot, and here we go. Yeah, coming in for 11 with dominate. And I'm not sure if this is preventable. I think the on-hit is going to go through here. Blocking with a run-through for 3. And is there going to be any equipment block? Probably not, because he knows he can't stop it. I think 11 dominate is just too much. The armor is just not going to be able to stop it. Yeah, so it's going down to 24. Obviously getting a Blood Rot, a Ponder, and the Red and the Ledger effect. So that's pretty decent stuff. I think Kassai is not really equipped to deal with Blood Rots either. Because she has a lot of reds and yellows, does she? I don't know, but Blood Rots costs 3 to get rid of, so it's quite tough. But yeah, we're just pitching a run through into a Centauri Saber, coming in at 4-2 on Florin's turn here. No go again right now that we know of. So yeah, Carlota is just going to take that slice to the face, and he's just going to pitch a blue Iron Song to the Blood Rot and Arsenal card. A little bit of stabilisation there, but Azalea still with a bit of a life lead, a tiny life lead, but now a 5-card hand plus a little bit of information coming up here, flipping up a Spire Sniping, so she should be resolving. If I remember correctly, I don't think she even resolves the Spire Sniping. She just uses the Skull Wrap. She would have been able to look at 2 cards if she wanted to and reorder them. So I think she missed that there. But nevertheless, a Infecting Shot has been put into the arsenal via Azalea's effect. So that's going to have Dominate this turn. And looks like we're just going to be staring down some big arrow attacks now. With a Read the Glide Path. A Lace with Frailty coming in. Having a look from the Read the Glide Path. And what else we got? Could we see another... Because this is another 11 Dominate coming in here. Yeah, another 11 Dominate coming in. That's pretty big. With 2 on-hits from the Lace of Frailty and the Lace with Blood Rot. Or the Blood Rot arrow as such coming in. So, essentially simulating 13 damage, and then also saying your swords are going to be weak next turn is pretty good. And again, Florin's in a bit of an awkward position here because of the fact that that his armor just doesn't block these on hits anymore. So it's tough. It's a tough situation to be in because you can't rely on that armor anymore. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, as you can see here, Carlota forgot to pay for the Crow's Nest, so it makes sense because obviously she pitched a yellow to the Infecting Shot, so she was allowed to take that back there and put the aim counter on it. Otherwise, there would have just been wasted resources. So fair play for Florin for allowing that in the semi-final here of the league. That means absolutely nothing whatsoever. But we've got a Valiant Dynamo's block So that's going to block for 1, at least. This is dominated, though, isn't it? So that's going to block for 4 with the card from hand. So he's going to take 8 damage. 8 damage. I think one of those coins is representing an aim counter and one is representing dominate right now. But yeah, going to be taking 8 damage here. That's pretty nasty. So I think Carlota's plan is just, I want to just go tall now every single time. I want to try and find big arrows that will punch through your ability to block. That's probably what the plan is now with the life lead, is just try and find that evasion to just punch damage through and ignore everything else. But Florin opting to crack a gold here, pitching a yellow, so drawing a card. That's going to make his sabres free this turn. Can't really see the hand of Florin, but really deciding what is going to happen here. Pitching into another gold and floating 1 as well from the glint. Choosing to draw another card. This doesn't make your sabres actually give you resources, by the way. They just simply will continue to be free attacks this turn. I'm not sure if he can activate Kassai this turn either. So thinking long and hard about what the play is here, but the life lead is pretty substantial. Azalea is pressuring hard and fast, and yeah, when you're on the receiving end of that, it's not very nice whatsoever. When she pins you down, she can really pin you down. Cracking another gold here to try and find some stuff, drawing a card, and still floating 1 resource. The tough thing is, as well, is Kassai really a damage deck? Or is she a grindy, from what I've seen, she's more of this grindy, mid-rangey, value-accruing deck that replenishes its boots every so often and does cool things and consistent attacks and blocks, does a little bit of everything very, very well, but when you're facing down this much pressure, I'm not entirely sure whether it's a favoured situation. But that being said, coming in with a nourishing for 6 is nothing to be snuffed at. But I imagine Azalea just says, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen here. Yeah, take 6, just vanilla damage, and paying for the Blood Rot Pox with a blue hit and run. So yeah, that's that, and it's over to Carlota now, with again a 5-card hand. Tunic's going to be on 3. Skullbone's going to be available to see what's on top. This is going to be another big turn. Revealing a Rain Razors. Interesting. See what's on top there with the Skullbone. Looking like she's opting to leave it on top as well. Nope, put it to the bottom. Straight down to the bottom. Send it down. Send it down. But yeah, starting off with the Rain Razors. This is always cool. Arrows this turn get +2. Pitching a blue bolt and shot into Death Dealer, I imagine. Yes, absolutely. To load in a red bolt and shot and draw a card. So looks like we're going a little bit wider this turn. She got a little bit more information from the other card she just drew as well. But coming in for 6 go again with the bolt and shot is pretty nice. We don't have the Death Dealer though, so if they fully block this and we don't get the reload effect, the only way to then put a card in the arsenal would be to either Bullseye Bracers, take aim, reload, or codex something from the graveyard. So it's either one of those 3 lines that we're probably going to see activated this turn, because Rain Razors on the stack with a bolt and shot as well as a go again for 6, is something you definitely want to follow up on. Especially if you can with Rain Razors in play, because obviously it just buffs up all of the arrows that you fire this turn. So that's one thing that that Carlotta's got going for her now, is stripping some more cards. But does she want to be stripping cards when Florin is just nourishing? So he's still got 3 cards in hand as well, I believe, now at the moment. But yeah, she's going to crack the bullseye braces to put in a battering bolt. Okay then. Alright, so that's going to be 7, because it's been put in there with the bullseye braces. And there's going to be a 9 from the rain razors as well. So that's going to come in for 9 damage off of the 2 floating resources. Oh wait, there's more. There is a lace with inertia as well. Wow. Okay then. And still got a blue has been very, very useful this turn to then finish off with a huge battering bolt coming in for +1 from the bracers, +3, +2. That's 12 damage. Okay. 12. With an on-hit that can sometimes do good stuff. But this is just raw numbers now coming in at Florin. Huge battering bolt being fired here for 12. And Carlotta was just pointing out that because obviously the damage is 12, you get +5 from the buffs on field here, +1 from the bullseye, and then 6 on the base equals 12. So coming in for 12 on this battering bolt is pretty big and dirty. And not even the 3 cards in hand can block for 12, I don't think. Still got Grains out, still got Brave Forge on 1, so he's still got 3 armour. So he could potentially block for 12 if he blocks from 3 from hand and then another 3 with the armour. But does that matter? Not going to have a turn after that then, is he? He's still under the absolute pressure of Azalea right now. Probably even more so than their round 1 game. Okay, so he's blocking 6. By the looks of it. Blocking 6. And... alright, okay. Blocking 10. We do see a sink below from Arsenal. And he reveals the Outland Skirmish. So he doesn't discard that, and he takes 2. The Battering Bolt doesn't care about actions. It's only non-actions that get discarded. But we did see a Lace of Inertia behind that as well. So Florin not going to be able to keep this Outland Skirmish in hand that he's just revealed to us. But instead probably just going to be pitching it into a Sabre. But before he does that, he is going to activate Kassai, Banishing, Run Through, Blade Runner, Nourishing, and In the Swing to get a gold on this Sabre here, which Carlotta is, again, probably just going to be taking damage to the face. So Florin is allowed to sort of keep that value train going with the Kassai on hits with the Sabre. So when he has the ability and the cards to do so, every Sabre that has that text in front of it is pretty much just getting in that gold every time in this match. Because Azalea just doesn't really care about that raw damage. But Skullbone being used here to flip up an Endless Arrow and allows Carlotta to have a look to see what is on top of the deck. Thinking about whether she wants to leave it there or not. Florin on 4 cards as well here. Yes, she is going to be activating Azalea. It is a premeditate, so that's a good way to start your turn. Play that out of the arsenal. And that's just one of the great things about Azalea, is that you get to look at the top card, and if you don't want the card or want to utilise the card that you've got in your arsenal, you can just switch it right out of there for something completely different, which just changes your entire turn and just gives you that consistency that we've always needed for so long. But yeah, we are seeing a Ravenous Rabble now coming out, revealing a Lace of Bloodrot on top. So we've got a 4-go again coming in here from the Ravenous Rabble. And then at least Carlotta knows that if she loads with Death Dealer now, she's going to be able to put something in her arsenal and then draw that Lace of Bloodrot off the top, which is then going to pump the next arrow by +6 because of the premeditate that's already on board here. So Florin going to have to stare down probably another 11 damage if she's firing a 1 cost. If she's firing a 0 cost, it's going to be 10 damage. So still quite a lot of damage coming in here with a lot of relevant on hits as well. But we'll see what she loads into Death Dealer here. Going to be interesting to see a bolt and shot being pitched. So 2 will be floating here as well. Which is this another battering bolt? Is it going to be another battering bolt pitching a blue? Imagine that. Battering bolt city. Just deciding what she wants to put into the arsenal here. Withering shot. Okay, interesting. So she's gonna draw that Lace of Blood Rot now as well. So that's pretty good. So now that if this is the arrow that she wants to fire, it's going to have 3 on hits. Yeah, 3 on hits. You got a Frailty from the arrow itself. You got Blood Rot from the Lace With. Then you got a Ponder on hit from the Premeditate, and she's still got 1 card in hand as well, which is pretty good. So just making sure that she can just continuously play with 5 cards is definitely the position that she wants to be in here. Very, very good. Very, very good stuff. A lot of pressure being continuously put on the throat of Florin. And this is why Azalea is so scary right now. Be interesting to see how the other heroes deal with this. But yeah, it's pretty good stuff. I do love commentating on Azalea. It's always good fun. But yeah, staring down 11 damage on this Withering Shot. 11 damage. It's quite a lot of damage. Just calculating what cards he wants to commit to this block. Because obviously if any damage goes through, he's going to have to discount his sabres a lot. He's going to have to pitch to Blood Rot as well to stop additional damage. And the ponder on hit doesn't really matter here because, you know, Carlota's already got a card in hand anyway. So this could read as just +3, but you know, I guess she will have the option of drawing another card to see what arsenal target she prefers to have in there. But yeah, this is still a big arrow that Florin has to deal with first before even resolving any of those effects. It's interesting to see or know why the Crown of Dominion was used here to start with rather than the Providence. I think the Providence was used last time in the round 1, I believe. Could be wrong, but Crown of Providence could have maybe covered something up. But yeah, that's only blocking for 5. So he's going to take 6 damage here. 6 damage, wow. 4 life with a Blood Rot and a Frailty as well going on top of that. That's pretty nasty. That is nasty indeed. Carlota's Azalea deck really doing the business here in the semi-finals of the league. That means absolutely nothing whatsoever. Ponder trigger here. She's deciding which one will go in the arsenal. It looks like she's going to keep the card that she had originally in the arsenal, and then draw up to 3. So not really doing anything differently there, I guess, in hindsight. But yeah, nonetheless, Azalea establishing an arsenal here, and Florin using a blood on her hands. Okay. Does have 4 coppers available, so he's going to sacrifice all 4 of those coppers to the blood on her hands. And he's going to choose +2, go again while attacking, and can attack twice on this particular saber. Yeah, just stacking all of the effects onto one saber here. +2, go again while attacking, and can attack twice. Threatening a little bit of a crackback here. Also activating Kassai as well. He probably knows Carlota's not going to bother with any blocks here. And now he's going to crack a gold to draw a card. So that saber attack is now free as well. So a pretty cool little turn being composed here, but obviously still coming in for 3 because of the frailty that's under threat here as well. So this turn could have been a bit of a bigger damage output if it wasn't for that frailty, but But yeah, the Frailty are going to be covering up a lot of damage here, which is pretty nice. So well-timed Withering Shot by Carlota. Not an arrow that you see a lot of, but coming in for 3 with Go Again, and this can attack twice as well. So yeah, what's Carlota going to do here? Just take it. Kassai, the Kassai ability is on the stack as well, so if it hits, he's going to get a gold. And that's exactly what she's going to do here. She's going to take 3. He's going to get gold back off of Kassai's ability. This Centauri Saber can attack again as well. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to attack again. She's going to take it. He's now going to pitch into a nourishing 4/6. So that's pretty nice. So if it wasn't for the Frailty, she'd be down to 10 and now staring down a 6. Yeah, that Frailty saving a 2 life there, which is if you look at it that way, flip it on its head a bit, that's gaining her 2 life as well. So that's pretty good stuff. But yeah, Nourishing coming down for 6. And I don't think Carlota has blocked a single time during this game, and that just seems to be what Azalea wants to do, is just not block and just operate at full speed all the time, which is pretty scary deck to try and interact with. And there's a lot of aggro decks that exist, but Azalea as an aggro deck is just so effective because she has interaction as well, and damage that are staple to on hits. Couple that with the Death Dealer, couple that with the Arsenal destruction like Inertias and Seeking Destroys, and the fact that you have access to Death Dealer to draw cards and Skull Wrap to see more cards, is that she just operates so effectively as an aggro deck, because not only does she do a lot of damage, but she has a lot of on hits, she has a lot of ways of snowballing, taking away card advantage and gaining cards and card advantage herself. It's just a very good deck right now as a result. But we'll see where it goes after new heroes are released, of course. Well, the heroes at this point would be released. But yeah, it looks like she is going to take 6 and go down to 6 herself, with Florin achieving that Nourishing Emptiness on hit trigger to gain an intellect. So he's going to be able to Arsenal. He doesn't have any cards in hand, does he? He's going to be able to draw up to 5 cards now, though. But I think Carlota is just going to go for the Dominate here, and of course Florin taking more damage to that Blood Drop Pox as well is pretty vital indeed, and that's what we're going to see here. We're going to see Skullbone Cross Wrap opting to see, is that going to be an arrow on top? She needs to find an arrow on top to get through that Dominate. And Florin is still having 3 block on the field here, so essentially at 5 life right now, with a card in hand which could be at least a 4. She would need to find 11 damage off of a Dominate to just seal the win here, which is not... Oh, she's blind Azalea'd into a Ravenous Rabble. Okay, well, it's not an arrow, but it's 3 damage nonetheless. I mean, to be fair, there have been multiple times when I have decided to, even when seeing a Ravenous Rabble on top, is just getting that into the arsenal to then fire 4 with Go Again, because that 4 with Go Again, early game at least, is not something that the opponent wants to even respect, because it's just a low value card, really. A 0 for 4 with Go Again is just not something you really want to respect early on. But now, seeing it now is pretty good. And she's also got that information that she's going to be able to draw into that Seek and Destroy as well after this. So I think this is going to strip a lot of the hand away. And using a Sink Below on a Ravenous Rabble is the state of the affairs right now. That's something you would probably never do, really. But at this stage of the game, when you need to cover up 4... if you've got a 4 to do it, that's the most effective way of doing it, right? So there it is. There's a Sink Below being used on this little Ravenous Rabble. But yeah, Carlota knows that she can pitch into Death Dealer, draw that Seek and Destroy, and just maybe fire a big arrow through here. But still 3 block on board for the armor as well. but this does seem like a I'm going to strip your hand this turn situation from Carlota, unless she can find some form of dominate from somewhere. But a battering bolt being pitched again from a blue and drawing a card is just lovely to see. It really is. It's one of my favourite things in a Dreadball deck that I used to play, was pitching a blue into Dreadball to load a battering bolt in. Because of the Dreadball effect, you're getting a 7. But oh my lord, speaking of massive arrows, this is coming in for an extreme massive damage here. So this is coming in for 15 damage. That is absolutely outrageous. I don't think there's anything Florin can do to cover this up here. Wow, he's got a Gorganian Tome in hand, so that's not going to block. And then he's only got 3 and 3. Wow, okay, so the Gorganian Tome causing death there, not being able to block 15. That is absolutely outrageous. Carlota goes through to the finals. Wow, that is crazy. I mean, if he had another 3 block in hand, he would have been able to block all of that out there towards the end, but again, that would have still left Azalea in the driving seat. Wow, let me just switch back to the other camera here. That was pretty insane. Great game from Florin and Carlota, and a nice little repeat on round 1, because they face each other right at the very start of this tournament back in February. February, however you want to say it. It is February, isn't it? I don't know why I'm messing this up, but February, yeah, when we started this league, it was 4 months ago, and round 1, they played in round 1, Carlota won then, and now she's won again here to secure her place in the finals of the league that means absolutely nothing here on Go Again Gaming. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic game, and join us to do it all over again tomorrow, where we're going to see Phi versus Dorinthia in the semi-finals. See you there. Cheers.